Big news today as the Gators land a massive transfer at a position of need. We've wanted to see Coach Napier and the boys turn it up in the portal, and this edition certainly shows that they've done that. Grayson Pup Howard committed to the Gators today. He is transferring from South Carolina. Guys, we are getting a good one. 6'4", 240-pound linebacker, played in 11 games last year as a true freshman for the Gamecocks. He had 19 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, and a forced fumble. He was a 4-star coming out of high school, a top 200 kid. He was the number 20 overall linebacker according to On3. We wanted him. The Gators wanted him last year. They made a run at him. They just couldn't land him. And that's when he committed and signed with South Carolina. But the relationships were really strong. And now he's a Gator. And guys, this is the kind of thing that I've talked about all summer long. Obviously, you want to be the first hat picked up on the table during a signing ceremony. But because of the transfer portal, those other hats on the table matter. Those relationships matter. And because UF continued a good relationship with Pup Howard, he is now a Gator. He had a good experience as a true freshman. He did well. UF is going to need to beef up their linebacker play this year, and this is a way to do it. Shamar James will be back, but we lost Scooby Williams, who played a lot of snaps for the Gators last season. And the linebacker room was a weakness last year, in all honesty, and it needs to improve. I talked about in a previous video how when Shamar James dislocated his kneecap and that ended his season around Halloween of last year, the linebacker play took a huge dip. If Shamar James doesn't get injured last season, the Gators probably win 1 or 2 more ball games. He was that pivotal. He was that good. But him going down and the linebacker play totally changing showed us how thin that room was. It was someplace that UF really needed to focus on bolstering up. So when you lose a guy like Scooby Williams, who, listen, missed a whole lot of tackles last year, but we're hoping was starting to become getting developed, right? That's a loss that hurts. Particularly you lose him to Texas A&M. He followed Bateman there. It's a loss. It hurts. How do you fill in that gap? Well, listen, I'll take Pup Howard all day long. Like I said before, the Gators wanted him the first time around. Napier is being more aggressive in the transfer portal. They didn't wait around or take it slow on this one. He just recently entered the portal. The Gators decided they wanted him. They went after him and they got him. This is what we've said we've needed to see from Billy Napier. He takes a slow and methodical approach to pretty much everything that he does surrounding football. That's not the way the transfer portal works right now. The transfer portal, you've got to very quickly identify who you want, throw money their direction, get them to come for a visit, and get them signed. There's not a whole lot of time to think about the pros and cons of each player, of really take the time to get to know them, which is good that this relationship exists because you didn't have to take that step. And maybe that's why Napier was able to move faster on Howard than we've seen him move on other guys. But UF needs to have a big 2024. For that to happen, Napier has got to fill in the gaps on this roster in the transfer portal immediately. There's a big part of this that I think people might be overlooking. But before we talk about that, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate so many of you tuning in and watching, and I've got big plans and big goals for 2024. So help us get there. Join the party, hit the subscribe button. What I think helped UF so much here was that former relationship. We mentioned this earlier, but they knew Pup. They have recruited him just 12 months or so ago. They developed some of those inroads. Obviously, being a Jacksonville kid, UF's proximity made it something that they're able to really benefit from, right? You get to sell that you're going to play in front of the home crowd. You can play in front of your family, your parents, your grandparents, whoever. That helps. But they didn't give up after he got to South Carolina. Their relationship was strong enough to get him to Gainesville shortly after hitting the portal. And one thing that I like about this portal strategy is the aggressiveness and the focus on defense. UF's defense was not good this past year. We've seen our transfer portal focus really be defensive centered. That's not an accident. That's because of what we saw on the field last season. I think largely Napier liked what he saw on the field offensively, and we can argue about the timing of play calling or things like that. But overall, when you average 30 points a game, your offense is successful. It's productive. Graham Mertz comes back. We've got Wilson coming back. We've got a lot of good offensive pieces coming back. Now, do we need some offensive linemen? Absolutely. But the unit that struggled the very most was Florida's defense, right? And that is where we have focused our efforts and energy in the transfer portal thus far. And I think that it's paying off. This is the kind of effort, energy, landings that Florida is going to need for this defense to be successful in 2024. Now, UF has probably the hardest schedule in the country in 2024, at least on paper. This defensive unit has got to get shored up if Florida is going to be bowl eligible in 2024. I don't see a team that's not bowl eligible getting to retain its coaching staff moving into 2025. It's do or die time for Billy Napier. And I think he knows that, right? He's got to get some pieces in that will help him immediately. Transfer portal guys are the way to go if you have to win now. Most high school players are going to need a season or two to develop to catch up to the speed of the game in college, which is obviously very different from high school, even if you played at a very top level program in high school. It takes time. That's not a luxury Napier has at the moment. He's got to win at least some ball games now. A guy like Pup Howard helps you accomplish that goal. It helps shore up that linebacker room. It brings in some leadership. Now, I know he'll only be a true sophomore, but when you get to play an entire season at an SEC school, you're coming in with some experience. You're coming in with the ability to guide some of these younger guys and lead a little bit. They're going to have Shamar James back. That will be their quarterback of the defense. So they don't need that role filled, but they need some experienced support staff. And that is exactly what Pup Howard brings to the table. And, Florida lost a guy like Adarius Hayes in this signing class who flipped to Miami on signing day. If Pup Howard's the replacement for that, I'll take it. You're talking about a guy who already has a year of development under his belt. In the situation that Napier and company are in, that is a huge positive. You'll take Pup Howard over Adarius Hayes any day because they don't have the time to develop Adarius Hayes unless they win in 2024. The Gators are definitely not done in the transfer portal by any means, and I'm going to do my very best to not only keep you updated, but also provide you with the best and most timely insight that I can. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos that are coming out, lining up some really cool interviews. It's going to be really fun, guys. All in all, though, this was a great day for the Gators as they land a big-time recruit in Pup Howard. This is a day to celebrate. It's exciting. Coach Napier hit that portal. He was aggressive, got the guy he wanted. This is what Gator fans need to see. Thank you all for tuning in, and go Gators.